I have turned my fan off so that the sound is as good as it can be, so I'm truly making sacrifices for this video. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Eddie, and today we're going to be talking about Percy Jackson. Before we get into the video, I just want to take a moment to say that there are a lot of terrible things happening in the world right now, and this video is hopefully a distraction from those things, but it's important not to forget about them. So in the description down below, I will be putting links to things that you can donate to, petitions you can sign, any other resources, more information. I know this video probably won't reach a lot of people, but for those of you watching, I am looking to elevate the voices of Black creators. So if anyone has any suggestions for YouTubers, Instagrammers, people on Twitter who are Black and creating important content, please leave them in the comments below. I will be doing my best in the future to shout out any Black creators who I think are making important content. And if you're going to be watching anyone right now, I would suggest them. Okay, so Percy Jackson. We all know it, we all probably love it. I think people around my age, I'm 19, probably read this when they were in middle school. When did this come out? I don't even know. Oh shit, this was 2005? Okay. So I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I did not read this book when I was 4. I got into the series either at the end of elementary school or middle school, and I was very passionate about it. I made a lot of friends because of our mutual love of Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson has been a really important part of my life since I was preteen, and because it's going to be turned into a TV show soon, I think it's time to revisit the series. I own all of the Percy Jackson books. I know this isn't all of them, but I have small hands, so we're doing the best that we can. I also own a lot of supplemental material, and I obviously own the spin-off series and the first book of the Red Pyramid, so I was pretty much a Rick Riordan stan. Is that how you say his name? I'm a fake fan. I don't actually know how you say his name. So we're gonna stick with Rick Riordan. You can come for me if you want. Anyway, something that I really respect about Rick Riordan is his dedication to diversity in his books. I know that the first Percy Jackson series wasn't super diverse, but I think that's probably because it's a product of its time. I know that in later series, Rick has made a point to have LGBTQ+ characters, and I really appreciate that, and I think that if I had been younger when those books had come out, they would have been really important to me. My plan for this video is to make predictions of what I think happens in the Percy Jackson series, based on what I remember from when I last read them, which was several years ago. I do have a bit of an advantage with the first 2 books because my mom has already read them recently and has talked to me about them, but I'm still not sure that I remember everything that happened, so I think it'll be fun. I'm going to basically film my predictions for each book, and then we'll see if I was right. So, cool. First booktube video. Let's do this. Okay, first of all, we're gonna do predictions for... This isn't even the right book. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have The Lightning Thief here. This is the first book, obviously. And I honestly did not remember a lot about this book. My mom did give me some help because she read it a couple days ago and was talking to me about it. But I already know that I have forgotten a lot about this book. So first of all, I completely forgot that like the whole point of this series is that there's a prophecy about Percy when he turns 16. So that'll be interesting to read more about that and kind of see where that goes, because I'm pretty sure it's throughout the series to the 5th book. Other things that I know happen in this book, I know that Percy is going to go to Camp Half-Blood. I should probably mention that this entire video is going to contain spoilers for Percy Jackson, so if you haven't read them and you want to, just go away and come back and then we can have a good time. Or if you want, you can make your own predictions along with me and kind of watch the video in segments, but I'm not going to dictate how you watch this video. Back to The Lightning Thief. So, I know that Percy goes to Camp Half-Blood. I know that he finds out his dad is Poseidon, he meets a wide cast of characters, he learns a lot about the world, he meets Annabeth. Beyond that, I don't really remember the plot of this. I know it's called The Lightning Thief, so I think, and again, like, I haven't even looked at the back cover for this. We're just going off of what I think I know. What I think happens is someone has stolen one of Zeus's lightning bolts and everyone thinks it's Percy, so he has to go clear his name and figure out who stole the lightning bolt. But I do not remember who stole the lightning bolt. I also don't really remember what the quest part of this story is. I know that Annabeth and Grover go with him. Something about this series is that I think I get a lot of the events mixed up, so I don't know what books things happen in. I could probably make a list of things that I'm expecting from this series that might work better than going book by book, but I think it'll be more fun to see if I'm right about which book they're in. I know from my mom that in this book they go to Medusa's store and have to deal with her. I think that's all I know, but I'm really excited to start reading this and find out, and I'll update you guys whenever I feel like it. Definitely once I'm 50% through, definitely once I'm done, but if things pop up that I forgot or that I have already said, I'll let you know, and I guess we'll see how this goes. Also, obviously this is my first video that I'm ever making, so who knows if it's actually gonna be good. I just have this desire to like apologize, but I know I don't really need to, because if it's not good, nobody will watch it. And even if it is good, probably no one will watch it. Okay, hi. It's the next day. I didn't start reading yesterday because I was trying to finish an audiobook from the library that I needed to return, which I did, so we're good. I just picked up Percy Jackson. I was gonna say Percy Jackson and The Lightning Thief, but it's The Lightning Thief. I guess I've read too much Harry Potter. So I just picked up The Lightning Thief, and the first thing I noticed was that, like, I kind of feel like it's ominous. I'm a very opinionated person, so it's really rare for me to not be able to articulate things, but I feel like because I've put a camera in front of my face, like, now I have no idea what I'm doing. My point is that the opening of this book is kind of, like, intense. Percy is basically like, you should be scared. I promise I've read books before. I have taken literature classes. I have discussed books with other people in an academic setting. Percy Jackson, you should be scared. I'm gonna keep reading, and I know it's not like actually scary because it's middle grade fiction. I don't really have anything else to say because I literally just got to the first page, so I'm gonna continue on and let you guys know how it's going. Okay, I'm back really briefly. I have read like 2 more pages. I just wanted to say that this book does the thing where teacher characters refer to students as like Mr. Jackson. I just thought that was really funny because I remember when I was younger and I was probably rereading this series for like the first time, I wrote a fanfiction where it was and Annabeth were in school, and I had a teacher refer to Annabeth as Miss Chase, and someone commented on the fanfiction and was like, this is really inaccurate, like nobody calls students by their last names, but the proof is right here. I was just writing a really accurate fanfiction, so go me, I guess. Oh boy. Am I making a bad choice by deciding to put this on the internet? Probably. But I'm having a good time, so it's fine. Okay, so this filming location is not super great because you can see my bookshelves in the background and they're not really organized, and I definitely have some stuff on there that's messy, but it's fine. Anyway, I just wanted to update you guys because I am a little bit under 50% of the way through this book, I would say, and here are my thoughts. First of all, I forgot that Annabeth has like a magical cap that turns her invisible, so that's super cool. I kind of forgot about the magical items in general. I forgot about the magical shoes that Luke gives to Percy. I do remember, I'm pretty sure they are evil in some way, like, because I remember that Luke is evil, so I think the shoes are kind of his way of messing with Percy while also seeming like a good guy. Other than that, I would say I had fun as the cabins were being introduced, trying to like remember which one was which gods, and then my mom looked up a picture online and showed me the exact cabin layout, so now I have a sense of the camp. I really enjoy those scenes in the camp. I feel like I remember loving them as a kid, like getting the first moments of this world, kind of learning alongside Percy, getting to train, like it's so fun. And honestly, I was a little bit sad that like his time at camp seem to be kind of cut short because they're going on the quest now, which I'm pretty sure the quest is supposed to be like the exciting part of the book, so it's funny that I'm more excited about camp, but I guess I probably always wanted to go to Camp Half-Blood as a child. I also think it's really funny that the shirts are bright orange because like really, Rick, you created the worst possible merch for this book. No one wants to wear bright orange shirts. I mean, go off, but like I don't think I ever had a Camp Half-Blood shirt as a child, and it's probably because I didn't want to wear bright orange. Anyway, back to the story. The other thing I kind of forgot about was the whole prophecy element. In fact, I kind of completely forgot there was an oracle at all, so that was interesting to read about. I don't remember every aspect of the quest and like what the prophecy means, so obviously they've already figured out that they have to go west to meet Hades. You shall go west and face the god who is turned, which is Hades. You shall find what is stolen and see it safely returned, which is the lightning bolt. You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you a friend. And then the last line of the prophecy is, you shall fail to save what matters most twist in the end. My predictions for the prophecy are that they're gonna go to the underworld to meet Hades. They're gonna get the lightning bolt back. Luke is going to betray them, and they're going to fail to save Percy's mom. Also, just briefly, I want to mention that there's a part in here where they talk about World War II, and they mention that Poseidon and Zeus had children on the winning side and Hades had children on the losing side, and that's why they made this pact to not have any more kids. And that just really threw me off because I didn't remember that at all, and I did not expect that much shade towards Hades. Like, this book really does him dirty. He's the father of all of the bad guys, he's super evil, they don't have a cabin in the camp for him. Like, damn. Rick really said fuck Hades. So those are my thoughts on The Lightning Thief so far. I am going to go do some chores and keep reading, and then I'll keep you guys updated. Also, I should just mention that as I'm filming this, it is July 26th, so I have 4 days before the end of the month, and I'm really hoping to finish the entire Percy Jackson series before the end of the month, because it would be really cool to be able to get this video up and then do my June wrap up and not have any overlap in those months. We're gonna see if we can get the series done in 4 days. I feel like it'll be kind of easy because it's middle grade fiction and I'm already halfway through The Lightning Thief and I've only been reading it for a couple of hours, so fingers crossed, but like, I think we got this. So it's the next morning. I am here to talk about my final thoughts on The Lightning Thief. I would say this book really held up to my expectations. I was kind of scared it wasn't going to be as good as I remembered it being, but honestly, it's a really solid book. The writing is obviously aimed at a younger audience, but I feel like it still really worked for me and I didn't feel like I was being talked down to, which is really great. Also, my mom is like in her 50s and she loved reading it, so I guess that's a pretty good endorsement. There were definitely things I didn't remember happening. Like, I totally forgot Ares was in this. I forgot that there was a whole fight with him. I forgot that he was the god who had turned. I did remember that Kronos was the guy in the pit, that the pit was Tartarus, so I feel good about that. I didn't remember that Luke's betrayal happened in this book. Like, I thought it kind of built up over the series, but I guess it makes sense. And once I got to the scene where he reveals himself to Percy and tries to kill Percy, I was like, oh yeah, I totally remember this happening. I completely forgot the plot with Grover being a searcher. I'm super excited to see where that goes because I don't remember what happens at all. I don't remember if he comes back in the second book or if he's in and out, if he's only communicating with Percy through messages. I feel like I remember him wearing a wedding dress in the second book. I marked this as read on Goodreads a while ago and I gave it 5 stars, and I'm definitely going to keep that rating. I feel like it really deserves it. A lot of my feelings might be nostalgia, but I feel like the way that the book was written really holds up, and I definitely stand by this being one of my favorite books. Okay, let's go over to my thoughts about The Sea of Monsters. The first thing I know about The Sea of Monsters is that we're gonna go meet the Cyclops. I know that Percy has a brother named Tyson who's a Cyclops, so I'm interested to see how he comes in because I don't remember it. I feel like maybe he shows up at Camp Half-Blood, but I don't know if that makes sense. So I guess we'll see. I know he's gonna battle a lot of like sea monsters. This is definitely more like Odyssey based. I don't remember the names of a lot of the monsters that he meets because they're all really complicated in Greek, but I'm pretty sure the Cyclops is Polyphemus. And if I remember correctly, Circe is in this. Guinea pigs. There are guinea pigs in this. Like, he gets turned into a guinea pig. I think there's the thing with the sirens and they have to put wax in their ears. Do they tie someone to the front of the boat or something? One of my friends reminded me that Clarice plays a really important role in this book, which is funny because I completely thought she was just a minor character, but they're right. I think, isn't she running a ship with a bunch of like dead Confederate soldiers? I guess we'll see. Those are the things that I'm pretty sure happen in this book. I was gonna say I don't remember what the quest is, but I think they're searching for the Golden Fleece. I think, is it because Thalia's tree is dying? That's my prediction. So Percy and Annabeth return to camp. Grover is still missing. He's been captured by Polyphemus. They want to go rescue him. Coincidentally, Thalia's tree is dying, so they want to go search for the Golden Fleece to find it. So they get sent on a quest and they have to go to, is it just called the Sea of Monsters? I guess maybe they're like, oh, we gotta go to the Sea of Monsters. So they get a boat, lots of boat stuff, and then all of the stuff with Circe and the sirens and Polyphemus happens. But I feel like I kind of have a good grasp on what happens in this book. If I'm wrong, it's gonna be so funny, but like, that's kind of the point of this video. I kind of hope I'm not right about everything. Definitely once we get into the other books, I won't remember as much. I'll be back with my updates. Okay, so I'm back. I am over halfway through with The Sea of Monsters because I didn't realize it's like 100 pages shorter than The Lightning Thief. So I have this much of the book left. And part of it is like a sneak peek of the third book, so I should be able to finish it soon. Mostly, I'm right about the content of this book. Most of the things haven't really surprised me. There are definitely some things I forgot. For example, I forgot that Tantalus was in this book. I forgot that Camp Half-Blood was pretty much falling apart, and I also forgot that we see Luke in this book and that they board the Queen Andromeda, which is the cruise ship that he and all of his lackeys are on. Right now I'm at the part where they've just escaped from Cersei's island, so they stole Queen Anne's revenge from Blackbeard and his crew. I'm definitely appreciating this book. I remember when I was younger, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I'd say it's definitely keeping me really engaged. Definitely, it's a lot more fast-paced and things are happening a lot more quickly than I thought they would. Overall, honestly, I think I'm enjoying this more than I did as a kid. I know as a kid, I didn't really like Tyson as a character very much. I totally forgot that Percy knew him at the beginning of the book, and I forgot a lot of the stuff that happens with him. Honestly, Tyson just kind of makes me feel sad because it sucks to watch a character being bullied so much, but in this read-through, I'm definitely appreciating him a lot more. I also just remembered, I think there's something about like a dragon's tooth, them having to like sew the dragon's teeth into the ground, but I don't fully remember that. So I would say definitely the end of this book is a little bit hazy for me. I don't remember as much. The other thing I'll say is, and I didn't mention this for the first one because I just completely forgot it, I love Percy and Annabeth's dynamic so much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really surprised that I like Percy and Annabeth so much in this because nowadays, a lot of the time, I don't like reading about romance in books, but I think the nostalgia factor is really drawing me in. And also, I think Rick did a really great job of writing teenage protagonists kind of awkwardly falling in love. Like, they're so awkward and it just feels really realistic and like heartwarming to see how awkward they are around each other. Their little like fights, just their whole dynamic is really great, and I am finding myself really looking forward to them getting together. So what can I say? I guess Percabeth is my OTP. The other thing that I had kind of forgotten is that the prophecy about Percy turning 16 is a lot more prominent in this book because it's when he first finds out about it, and I'm starting to remember some things about like the child of the big three, and I'm really excited for book 3 because I remember really liking it, and I know other characters come in that are really exciting. But I'm gonna finish this so we can talk about that. All right, so I have officially finished The Sea of Monsters. My final thoughts are that this was a great book. I'd say this is probably another 5-star read. I really enjoyed everything that happened. There were definitely, again, a couple of things that surprised me. I've mostly forgotten everything that happens with Luke and Kronos over the entire series, so I'm definitely interested to see where all of that is going because I really don't remember most of it. I feel like maybe Kronos tries to take over Luke's body, but that's definitely later on, so I don't really know what's going on. I was definitely wrong about my prediction with the dragon's teeth, so I'm wondering if that comes into the next book. Anyway, I didn't mention anything in my predictions about Thalia being revived by the Golden Fleece, but I definitely knew it was going to happen, so that's not much of a surprise. I'm really excited to see her because I don't remember anything about her character or how she really fits in to this series. I don't really remember her from the spin-off series, so I feel like maybe she dies or something bad happens to her, but I really don't know. Anyway, I don't feel like I have a lot to say to wrap this book up, other than that I really enjoyed it. And once again, really loving seeing Percy and Annabeth's relationship develop. I think it's so cute that they call each other Seaweed Brain and Wise Girl. It was also great to be introduced to Charles Beckendorf in this book, and also briefly Selena Beauregard was mentioned. And I know both of them have a more important role in later books, so that was cool to see that set up. And I really love Hermes as a character too. I think he's really great, and the kind of exploration, discussion of his relationship with Luke is really interesting. It kind of brings in more of a godly perspective on the parent-child relationship between half-bloods and their godly parents. So I really liked seeing that. So I finished The Sea of Monsters really quickly, which is great because it means I can get on to The Titan's Curse, which I'm really hyped about. I definitely don't remember as much about this book as I do about the first 2 books. Here's what I know about The Titan's Curse. First of all, Thalia's going to play a bigger role because she was just introduced in the last book. Second of all, I know in this book we meet Bianca and Nico, who are children of Hades, and that kind of throws off the whole Big 3 prophecy because now we have 4 children of the Big 3 running around, and we don't know which of them is going to reach 16 first. I think there's something about Thalia's age. I know she didn't like age fully, so I don't know if she's the same age as Percy now or if she's older, and I guess we'll see about that. Bianca might actually be the oldest of them now, but I know that she's going to join the Hunters because Artemis comes in this book, so that's going to play a big thing. Does Thalia join the Hunters? I don't remember. I'm really excited to see Artemis in this book because I know that's a really interesting point. I'm pretty sure that since we get Artemis, we also get more of Apollo, which will be interesting. interesting to see. I don't remember a lot about how Apollo functions in this world, like what his personality is. I know Artemis is really cool, and I know the hunters are really cool, and they're like a fun part of the book. I'm really interested to revisit this book because I know my feelings on the characters have probably changed a lot. For example, when I first read the series, I know I didn't like Nico at all, but obviously I've read the spin-off series now, and I know that he has a lot more development, and honestly, I really can't blame him for being small, gay, and angry, because like, aren't we all? I think Nico's dealing with a lot of shit in this book, so I'm not gonna blame him for everything that happens, even though I know he's really angsty, and it might be kind of hard for me to deal with. I also know Bianca's going through a lot. I feel like maybe their mother has just died or gone through something really traumatic, so I know they're dealing with some rough stuff, and that's why Bianca tries to join the hunters. I don't remember how they get brought into the plot at all. I feel like it's at like a weird school dance or something, so that's something that I'm really interested to see, because I don't know what the timeline is for this book. In the last book, we don't even get all the way through the summer, so it makes me think that this book is set during the same summer, but I'm not sure if that fully makes sense, because then like, if there is a school element, why are they going back to school? I'm just really interested to see what happens if we get like a flash forward with Percy telling us what happened the rest of the summer. So definitely interested to see how that works. I also remember something about them visiting the Air and Space Museum and something about freeze-dried food, like astronaut food. So definitely really curious to see how that goes. I also think Aphrodite is in this book, which means that Ares is probably coming back. I love the feud that he and Percy have going on. I'm really interested to see how his curse on Harry, oh my god, have I been saying Harry this whole time? Okay, anyway, I really love the dynamic that Ares and Percy have going on. I think it's fun. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where Ares's curse goes, because Percy has to watch his back in battle now. And so if Aphrodite comes in, I want to see her dynamics. I feel like Nico and Bianca kind of have scary powers, and I remember something about Bianca and like maybe one of Hephaestus's automatons. I'm pretty sure Bianca dies, which is tragic, and Nico deserves better, but that's what I'm going with. I guess I still don't have any idea what sort of quest they're going on, what sort of thing they're trying to do. I know that Luke and Kronos have to be somewhere in this book, because that's obviously the overarching plot of this entire series, but I don't know how they come in at all. I feel like there are a lot of moving pieces in this book, and I'm really interested to see how they all fit together. So right now what I know is we're gonna learn more about Thalia, we're gonna meet the children of Hades, and there will be something with the Air and Space Museum. Also, my predictions are that we'll see Artemis, Apollo, and Aphrodite in this book, although I'm not entirely sure the roles that all of them play. I don't know if me predicting things is actually really interesting, because it's not like I'm predicting anything extremely outlandish. I truly can't remember enough about this book to make some sort of guess about what the main plot is. I guess I'll just keep you guys updated, and we'll see what happens. So I'm about 50% through with The Titan's Curse, and I am really loving it. I definitely remember way less about it than the other two that I've read so far. Like those, there were some minor details that I'd definitely forgotten, but I pretty much knew how they were gonna end, what the general plot was. This, I am clueless. I thought I remembered a lot about it. Like when I was predicting stuff, I feel like I knew a lot of like the small details, but I have no idea what the plot is. So this book is set during winter break after the summer where they found Thalia. So we don't really get to see them developing a relationship with her at all. We're just kind of dropped in, and I kind of like that. You're kind of dropped into the middle of the action. Percy, Thalia, and Annabeth are going to this boarding school to meet Grover, who has discovered two really strong demigods. And when they get there, they meet these two kids. They also get into a fight with a monster, which results in Annabeth being kidnapped, and they also meet Artemis and her hunters. That's how the book starts. And then from there, Artemis goes on a hunt trying to find a monster that's powerful enough to basically destroy the gods, and she ends up being lost along the way. And so one of the hunters asks for a quest to go and find her, and I totally forgot about that. I forgot that Artemis was missing. I forgot that the hunters came to Camp Half-Blood, and then that there was a quest that required both hunters and campers to go. This is way more of a summary than my other thoughts have been, and it's really just because I am so surprised by the plot of this book. So the quest basically says that they have to go west again, and along the way, two of them are gonna die. One of them is going to be lost in the land without rain, and I'm pretty sure that's Bianca, which sucks because in this book Percy makes a promise to Nico that he's gonna look after her, and I totally forgot about that, and I'm gonna be so heartbroken. So I want to take back everything that I said about Nico in the last clip, because he's totally different than I remembered. I was definitely thinking about him in later books when he's been traumatized by the events in this book, but in this book he's just an innocent little kid who plays Mythomagic, which is such an adorable like card and figurine game, and honestly I would probably play it. Like that's some nerdy shit that I would appreciate. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that that doesn't exist exist. I might be totally wrong. I'll look it up and leave something here if it does exist. I feel like some fan of Percy Jackson has made it if it didn't already exist. Anyway. Can you see my cat? Yeah. She might try to eat my popcorn. I did not clean up for this segment at all. My cat's name is Athena, by the way. You can tell how obsessed with Greek mythology I was. Okay, my cat's just gonna hang out in the background for a little bit. I'm gonna keep talking about the Titan's Curse, but I guess I'll hold it up over here so you guys can see her. Athena, are you gonna eat my popcorn? Okay, I guess we'll just vibe. Anyway, yeah, so Nico in this is just an adorable little kid, and I feel really bad for him because he clearly looks up to Percy, and Percy isn't going to be able to protect his sister. I know now for sure that Bianca does die in this because that's, like, such a tragedy that kind of makes Nico the way that he is in the later books, and, like, my heart, it hurts. It hurts. It's also, like, seeing his admiration of Percy and then understanding how that's sort of him having, like, a childhood crush on Percy. Like, I don't know. I feel a lot more for Nico than I did the first time I was reading these books, or the many other times. I truly have no idea how many times I've read this series. So right now, they're at the Air and Space Museum. I feel really good about that. Percy just defeated a Nemean lion. I literally just read this. So Percy just defeated the Nemean lion with astronaut food. So another point for me. And the prophecy said that there were going to be 5 people on the quest, but they only took 4 people, and then Percy snuck along after them, so now he's been brought in as the 5th person. So that's where we are. Also, I was totally right about the dragon's teeth appearing at some point. I was wrong that they were in the second book, but they're definitely in this book. They've brought to life these skeleton soldiers who've gotten a hold of Percy's scent, and they're not going to stop tracking him down until they've gotten him. So I'm really interested to see how that goes, because again, that's something I don't really remember. There's just so much going on in this book that I completely forgot, and it's really thrilling to me because, like, this is the first time since I started reading this series that I truly have no idea where anything is going. The other thing that I just want to go ahead and predict, because I'm pretty sure it's coming up soon, I know that they go to the Hoover Dam in this, and I'm pretty sure that's where they meet Rachel Elizabeth there, so we'll see if I'm right about that. But I know for sure they go to the dam because I accidentally read one of the chapter titles. But again, I think Rachel is there, so we'll see if I'm right. Just wanted to throw that in because it's something I forgot to mention when I was doing my initial predictions. Also, I don't know what the Titan's Curse is. I have no idea. And another one of the quest members is gonna die, and I have to think it's Thalia because it says that they're gonna die at the hand of their parent, and I just feel like it's Thalia, which, like, sucks that we get so little of her if that's true, but that's fine, I guess. But yeah, I have no idea what the Titan's Curse is. Also, there's a general, Kronos has a general, and they described him, and I have no idea who he is, so that's really interesting. And there's this whole plot with Annabeth and Artemis being forced to basically hold up the sky, so maybe that's the Titan. Again, I don't really know because is the Titan Kronos or is the Titan someone else? I guess we'll see. Okay, so I'm back again. It's been literally 1 minute, but I just wanted to talk about the fact that Nico and Bianca clearly aren't from this time period. I started reading the next chapter and it became, like, really obvious because Bianca's talking about the subway not existing when she and Nico lived in DC, but that's kind of been hinted throughout the whole book. There's this whole thing of them not really being able to remember anything about, like, more than a year ago. So I don't really remember what that's about, but just wanted to throw that in there as something that I also completely forgot about and am excited to figure out. All right, I'm back and I have finished reading The Titan's Curse, so let's talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this book. Pretty much all of them are positive. Again, I think this is a 5-star read for me. I don't know if I was expecting this video to be, like, juicy. I was pretty much guaranteed to like all of these books. The only thing that I was worried about was that maybe I would find the writing a little too young for me, but honestly, it's really not condescending at all. I don't feel like I'm being talked down to, so it's working really well for me. This book, I was right. I really remembered nothing about it. Everything past the halfway point really shocked me, and it was just a really great reading experience. I loved not really knowing what was going on. I loved trying to figure out what was going to happen next. And definitely a few things started to come back to me, but not all of them. First, I just want to talk about Bianca's death because it's fucking heartbreaking. So I knew she was going to die. I predicted that at the beginning. And I kind of remember the thing about the junkyard with the automatons. Are they automatons? I don't know, but, like, the robots. I didn't remember that the thing she stole was for Nico, and, like, the writing in this book made it so devastating. Percy feeling so upset because he had promised Nico that he would keep her safe. It was just really, like, I almost cried. And I didn't cry. We made it through, but it was tough. I think now that I'm older, I'm actually able to empathize with the characters more. When I was younger, I feel like I just didn't get why Nico would have been so upset, but like, it's so heartbreaking. The scene where Percy comes back and has to tell Nico that his sister is dead just hurts so deeply. The other death that happens in this book is Zoe dying because of her father, Atlas, and I didn't really remember that. I didn't predict it. I said Thalia was gonna die, but I wrote down in my notes the second I realized it. I don't remember where in the book I was. At a certain point I was like, oh no, Thalia's gonna join the hunters and Zoe's gonna die, which is kind of tragic. Like, you send 2 hunters and 3 half-bloods on this quest and both of the hunters die. Like, yikes. Zoe's death also really hurt. I feel like Rick did a great job of building up her character. She starts out being really insufferable and everyone hates her, and then you really start to feel for her and learn more about her story, and she's just really cool. I thought her language confusion with like the instead of you was really funny and handled really well, so you got the sense that she wasn't from the same time period as everyone else. Speaking of not being from the same time period, Bianca and Nico are as old as they are because they got trapped in the Lotus Casino, and that totally makes sense to me. What I want to know is who got them out, because that's still a mystery, and I don't remember how them being the children of Hades affects things, because right now Percy and his friends are like hiding that from everyone. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Also, Nico runs away at the end of this, and I don't remember what happens to him. Other than that, I pretty much loved everything about this book except for the fact that Annabeth isn't in the majority of it because she's been kidnapped, but that was fine because they kind of replace her with Thalia. Like, they're not the same character, but it's still like someone for Percy to talk to and have a good dynamic with. So it was handled pretty well, and it was such a good opportunity to show how much Percy cares about Annabeth. Like, it was so sweet. So I knew that Aphrodite showed up, but I didn't really remember what she said, and she basically just talks to Percy about Annabeth, and like, look, I ship them. What can I say? Also, there's a moment where Aphrodite tells Percy that she's not gonna make it easy for them and that there's gonna be like distractions and temptations, and I'm glad to have read that because I remember that he has weird kind of flirtatious relationships with other people in this series, and that's always really bothered me. So I guess knowing that it's like a game that Aphrodite is playing makes that better. Speaking of characters that Percy has weird relationships with, Rachel Elizabeth Dare is in this book. She is at the dam. I kind of forgot how she was involved. I know that she's going to become the Oracle in one of the later books, but I forgot that she was one of the mortals who could see through the mist, and I just really loved her scene. She's a great character, and I kind of feel like Rick did her dirty by like having her clearly interested in Percy and then having that not work out. It just kind of felt cheap. And I'm saying this knowing that I haven't even read that part yet. Like, it's not in the Titan's Curse because we've only seen her once. But I'm pretty sure that's what happens in later books, and I'm not super excited about it. I really loved this book. I think it's probably my favorite of the 3 that I read so far, and that just makes me really happy. I also really liked the scenes with Annabeth's dad because it's really sweet to know that they're trying to reconcile and like bring the family back together. That's just wholesome. And I totally forgot about Paul Blofeld, Sally's boyfriend, I guess. That's also really cute. I just want all of the characters to be really happy, and even though there were more sad deaths in this book, so many of the characters got like happy moments, and it was really sweet. The other thing I totally forgot about was the Ophiutarus, aka Bessie. I completely forgot he was a part of the series, and that was like what the prophecy was about. I realized once we got to that part that Thalia was gonna join the Hunters, so she didn't turn 16, which leaves Percy to be the person in the prophecy. That made sense, but I don't really know if we'll see much more of Bessie in the later books and what role he plays. Let's go ahead and talk about the Battle of the Labyrinth. Okay, so I have to predict things for this book. I remember so little. So here are the things that I do remember. First of all, they're gonna go into the labyrinth. Pretty sure an entrance like opens up at Camp Half-Blood and that's how they get in, but I don't really remember why they're going in. I know that Pan is gonna be involved in this book because Grover got a message from Pan at the end of the last book. So I'm pretty sure they like find Pan in the labyrinth or something. Maybe they go into the labyrinth looking for Pan. I don't really know. I know they end up in Texas at one point because my friend from Texas has been reading the series ahead of me and mentioned that to me. So I'm pretty sure that's where they end up at the ranch with that guy whose name I can't pronounce, and it's like the stables that Hercules had to clean out as one of his tasks. I'm also pretty sure that Percy and Annabeth kiss in this book, so we'll see. Other things I think I remember. I think Percy ends up on Calypso's island, which will be interesting because I don't remember how that plays out. I'm pretty sure they have like a weird flirtatious thing and I'm not going to be into it, but that's fine. And then I also feel like maybe Hephaestus's forges come up in this book. There's this really important thing in the back of my head that I can't really figure out because I just really have forgotten everything about Luke and Kronos. So anything that they do in this book, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure Mount St. Helen is involved. Is that the name of the mountain? Am I gonna look really dumb? Okay, but I think that mountain might be involved in this book. And then the only other thing I can think of is that Ariadne might be involved because she's kind of been set up in the past couple of books. She's Dionysus's wife now, which I don't even know if that's a part of the mythology or if that's something Rick made up, but I have to assume that Ariadne is going to be involved in this somehow because she has been mentioned in the last book and it's the Battle of the Labyrinth. I have this memory of Charles Beckendorf and Selena Beauregard getting together, and then I feel like Selena gets manipulated by Luke. Again, I don't know because they're minor characters, so I guess we'll see. Anyway, I'm really excited to dive into this book because I feel like I remember it being my favorite. So if I really liked The Titan's Curse, I'm hoping this is going to be even more exciting for me, even though I'm just really vibing reading all of these books. Like, none of this is an issue for me. I've been speeding through them. Really excited to read them. Really excited to potentially read Heroes of Olympus, because I might do a reading blog for that later, depending on how this one turns out. Yeah, I'm really back in my Percy Jackson, like, fandom phase. So I'm, like, 200 pages into Battle of the Labyrinth, which means I'm over halfway through, and once again, I'm loving it. No surprise there. I feel like each book gets more intense, like there's a lot more moving pieces in each subsequent book, and that's really interesting to me. I like that it kind of feels like we're growing along with Percy, and obviously as they're getting closer to the end of the series and like the final showdown, things are getting more complicated, so it makes sense. I definitely really did not remember like anything about this book. There's so much going on. I knew they were going to go to a ranch, but I didn't really remember what happened there. I didn't realize that Nico was such an important part in this book. I didn't realize Annabeth got a quest. I didn't realize they were having to help Grover find Pan in the labyrinth, and I totally forgot about Grover and Tyson's dynamic. I forgot that Grover has a girlfriend. I completely forgot everything like about the labyrinth. I forgot that they met Janus. I forgot about Hera. I feel like in my predictions I said something about Hephaestus and his forges, so I feel good about that. I also said something about Mount St. Helen, so feeling pretty good about that. Also, Percy and Annabeth kiss in this book. So I'm just such a sucker for it. This was really funny. I feel like Rick did such a great job of developing this romance. Like, it's a slow burn. It takes place over 4 to 5 books. Obviously, I'm reading them back to back, so it doesn't feel as, like, slow burny, but, like, clearly it's built up. These characters care a lot about each other. They help each other a lot. And it's really cute to see these little moments where, you know, everyone around them knows that they're into each other, but, like, they don't know it. I just think it's really cute and heartwarming, and you're rooting for them, and it's just really nice. Everything about Nico makes me so sad. I truly don't remember how I felt about this stuff when I first read these books. Every time he talks about Bianca, every time he tries to summon her, it's just... I just want to give him a hug. I don't remember how they meet Daedalus in this book, and also I feel like he's connected to Quintus, who I totally forgot about as well. I also totally forgot about Mrs. O'Leary, the Hellhound, and I didn't mention this last book, but I completely forgot about Blackjack the Pegasus too. I remember my friends and I loving those characters specifically as kids, and it's just so funny to me that I completely did not remember their part in anything. Mrs. O'Leary is adorable, and I know she's gonna play a bigger part because Percy has the whistle. Right now, I left off where Grover and Tyson have split up from Percy and Annabeth, so they're trying to find Pan in the labyrinth, and Percy and Annabeth just went to Mount St. Helen. They had their kiss, and Percy has exploded everything. So I really don't know where we're going from here. I'm so glad that I don't remember everything about the series because it makes it so enjoyable to dive back in and just be thrown into that world again. All right, I've officially finished the Battle of the Labyrinth, and I really should have taken notes on this book. I did it for Titan's Curse, and I didn't do it for any of the rest of them. I've always been a really inconsistent note taker, so like this isn't a surprise to me, but also it would be a lot more convenient if I had written down all of my thoughts before trying to do like a little wrap up. Most of my thoughts about this book are that it was really good, which again isn't a surprise. There were a lot of moments where I came really close to tears, like they finally find Pan and Grover has been searching for him and dreaming of searching for him his whole life, and Pan tells him that he has to carry on the spirit of Pan and he's actually fading. And then everything that happens with Nico, y'all, I did not realize how into Nico as a character I was gonna be. I love him so much. And like the end of this book when he shows up at Percy's apartment, knowing that they need to talk about something really serious, and instead he's just like, can I come in for birthday cake? And Percy's like, I don't know if this kid has ever had a birthday. And I'm like, I just want Nico D'Angelo to be happy, and I know it's gonna take him like 6 more books to get there, and that hurts. Other things, I totally forgot about Rachel coming in to lead them through the maze. That was super cool. I love her character too. I feel like I've always been really annoyed by Rachel because of the like weird relationship she has with Percy, and I still find that annoying, but like Rachel is a badass. She's really cool and I feel like she deserves more credit. Guys can be friends with girls. I wish that we got to see Percy at a young age having strictly platonic relationships with girls. It just kind of bums me out that like that's something that's not included in this series as much, but it's also like a minor thing, and I know that he and Rachel are gonna end up friends, so I can kind of look past it and be fine. The scene with Calypso is like also kind of weird because it's like he just kissed Annabeth, man. Like you're really then gonna throw 2 other girls at him like in the last 100 pages of this book? Okay. I don't know if when Rick was writing the Percy Jackson series, if he knew that he was gonna write Heroes of Olympus, but I know that Calypso has a role in that as well, and that she has a thing with Leo, so it does feel important that she's like mentioned in this, but it felt just unnecessary. I'm like, please leave Percy and Annabeth alone. Percy turns 15 in this book, and it's like, he doesn't need Annabeth and this mortal girl Rachel and an immortal goddess like all lusting over him. He's 15, please calm down. I did not mean to spend this much time talking about like Calypso because that's literally 1 chapter in this book and there's so much else going on in here. I would try to do a summary or something, but again, I just like there's too much going on. So I was right about Quintus being connected to Daedalus because he is Daedalus just in his 5th body, and that's really cool and I appreciated that, and I liked seeing Daedalus kind of come to terms with all of the bad things that he'd done in his life and finally make some good decisions. I also love Mrs. O'Leary. I think she's adorable. I totally forgot about Ethan Nakamura. Again, don't know how to say his name, please don't come for me. I know that him being a child of Nemesis is really important. Like Nico, as a child of Hades, doesn't have a cabin at Camp Half-Blood, and Ethan doesn't either because his mother is one of the more minor gods. And I know that at the end of this series, they're gonna add more cabins to Camp Half-Blood and finally recognize kids of minor deities, which I think is great, and they should have been doing that from the get-go. But obviously Ethan is like, that's kind of what his character is there for, I'm pretty sure, is to show the people at Camp Half-Blood that they need to be thinking about other people because their camp is kind of problematic and exclusionary. And I also know that they're gonna let Rachel in to become the Oracle. I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen in the last book. It kind of seems like I'm just predicting things for the last book now, so I'm gonna go ahead and just switch over to talking about that. But this is also another 5-star read. I really loved it. I am torn between whether this is my favorite or whether The Titan's Curse was my favorite. I know for sure when I first read the series, this was my favorite, but The Titan's Curse really impressed me. At the end of this video, I'm gonna rank them all, and so I'll have figured it out by then. Look, I have no fucking predictions for this book. I don't remember anything that happens. So we're just gonna like spitball, I guess. Like I said, I think Rachel's gonna become the Oracle. If I remember correctly, Annabeth at the end of this is made the Architect of Olympus because they need to repair it. Also, so obviously Kronos, we're gonna see him again. He's in Luke's body now. That's gonna be rough. I know we're gonna see Ethan again. I do not remember what Nico had to talk to Percy about that ended the last book, so I'm curious to see what their plan is. I assume we're gonna see Bessie the Ophiutarus again, since that's like the thing with the prophecy. Other than that, I know there's a big showdown, and I'm pretty sure it happens in the streets of New York. I'm pretty sure Typhon is gonna awaken because we were told that was gonna happen in the next few months to a year, and this is obviously the summer that Percy's gonna turn 16, so it's now been a few months to a year. This is the worst one. This is the least interesting one for me to predict, but that probably means it's going to be the most interesting one for me to react to. So I'm a little over halfway through The Last Olympian, and yeah, I totally didn't remember anything. First of all, I think there's less happening in this book, so it's definitely easier for me to keep track of, but I think it also made it less memorable in my mind. I know for sure this was never my favorite book, which is kind of disappointing because like the end of a series should be like really good, but I feel like a lot of the time it can be a little bit of a letdown. I don't feel like it's a letdown. I just feel like the third and fourth books had a lot more going on. So obviously Percy and his friends are trying to stop the attack on Manhattan by the Titans. Right off the bat, this book starts with the death of Charles Beckendorf, and I know now for certain that Selena is going to be the traitor, even though we still haven't gotten to that in the book. Kronos basically told Percy that he's been communicating with this traitor through a little scythe-like necklace charm thing, and I'm pretty sure that Selena has that on her person. I'm trying to figure out how the characters are gonna find that out. Does she die? And then like as she's dying, she's like, Percy, I was the traitor. I don't know. Lots of characters are dying in this book. All of them are minor. I don't think any of the main characters get killed off because like this is a children's series and I don't think they do that, even though it's definitely unrealistic given the circumstances. Definitely really excited that the hunters showed up to defend Olympus as well. I forgot that they were there. I know we're gonna see Clarice and the Ares cabin return. Clarice has basically taken the Ares cabin out of commission and they're not gonna fight. I'm pretty sure she's gonna show up at like the last minute just when they need her the most. I totally forgot that Nico's whole plan was to have Percy bathe in the river Styx and basically take on the curse of Achilles, which is what he's now done, and it's what Luke did in order to take on Kronos. And honestly, there are so many moments in this book that I forgot about that are so sad. Someone else I completely forgot about was May, Luke's mom. Nico and Percy go to visit May and try to figure out more about Luke's life and how he bathed in the river Styx. And so we get this glimpse into this broken woman. Like, she's clearly gone a little mad. I'm pretty sure what happened is because she could see through the mist so strongly, she was offered the position of Oracle, and when she tried to take it on, it went wrong. Meeting May and seeing how kind of unresponsive she is and how out of the real world she is was just so heartbreaking, and imagining Luke growing up in that environment is really heartbreaking. And we know Hermes did something happened with him and he feels guilty about it, and maybe Annabeth was involved, so there's a lot of things going on. Obviously, Percy is dealing with his feelings for Annabeth, but like trying to push them away, not really think about them. She's what he pictured when he was in the river Styx and needed to get himself out. At this point in the book, Annabeth has been injured, but I know that she's gonna come out okay. I'm also really glad we got Grover back, and it kind of just feels like everyone that we've seen over the series is coming back and is important again. Rick did a really good job of weaving in a lot of different characters. It's definitely a really good series finale, and it's probably still gonna be a 5-star read from me. I just know that the third and the fourth book personally did more for me than this does plot-wise, but it's still really great to like see all of these moments, and I'm definitely really enjoying it. It is close to 2 in the morning, and I have finally finished The Last Olympian. So I was right about Rachel becoming the Oracle and like not right about pretty much anything else. I don't know, all I want to do right now is pick up the next series. That's all I want to do. I just want to start reading Heroes of Olympus. Wow, I'm really just like in my feelings. I'm in my feelings. It's because it's 2 in the morning. Okay, I can do this. I can be a serious book reviewer. So again, this is another 5-star read for me, but it's like, it's definitely different than the other books in the series because it's so focused on this battle. And honestly, I take it back, I really enjoyed this. I feel like it worked for me really well. It's a really satisfying conclusion to the series. I feel like Rick did such a good job, and it's actually not disappointing. I don't know what I was talking about before. I'm really satisfied. I feel like it wrapped up everything it needed to wrap up, and then it also sets up for the next series, which I didn't realize. Like, how did I not remember? I was like, I'm pretty sure earlier I said something like, I don't know if Rick was planning to write the next series while he was writing this, but like he clearly was, because the prophecy for the next series is included in this. I love the ending with Luke. Like, it's fucking heart-wrenching when Annabeth has the moment with Luke and she reminds him of his promise and he ends up being the one to defeat Kronos. I just thought that was really like such a powerful moment, and it really brings Annabeth's entire arc together. The moment with Selena, I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that she actually pretended to be Clarice to get the Ares cabin into battle and ended up dying from it. That was tragic, but it's okay because she and Charles Beckendorf are going to be together in Elysium, and that's nice to know. I like that Ethan Nakamura ends up kind of being a hero in the end. They kind of find a way to redeem all of these characters and give them a relatively happy ending. Like, Luke gets to kind of die as a hero. And then obviously, like, I was really glad to see Percy making the choice to be mortal and be with Annabeth, and actually picking for his gift from the gods to be that Camp Half-Blood was more inclusive and that no kids would go unclaimed. I just thought that was such a good call. and it totally was in character for him, and it like really just brings the whole series together, and like all of the problems that arose were kind of because of the gods neglecting their children. And I think it was a really good ending to the series, and I take back anything I ever said about it not living up to the hype. It is the last day of June, and I have officially finished rereading the Percy Jackson series. I can say without a doubt that this is one of my favorite series of all time. All of these books are definitely 5-star books for me. Obviously, some of them I like a little bit better than others, and that's what I wanted to kind of talk about now that I've gone through all of them, and just kind of give my closing thoughts on the series. I'm gonna put these down now, because this is ridiculous. I want to go ahead and rank these books from favorite to least favorite and talk a little bit about why. Honestly, I definitely surprised myself. I think my ranking has changed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through what I thought my ranking was gonna be and then what it actually is. So first off the bat, I was pretty sure that Battle of the Labyrinth was my favorite, followed by, oh boy, followed by The Titan's Curse, followed by, oh boy, oh my god, okay, followed by The Lightning Thief, followed by The Last Olympian, followed by Sea of Monsters. This is not true anymore. I don't know what to do with 5 books. I can't hold these in a normal way. It's okay. All right, I'll figure it out. Okay, I have my new official ranking. So I thought my favorite was gonna be Battle of the Labyrinth. It's actually The Titan's Curse. And basically these 2 books just switched. I would say Battle of the Labyrinth is my second favorite. The reasons for that are that I feel like The Titan's Curse has a lot more interesting development with characters. We meet a lot of new characters who kind of take the center stage for this. And in The Titan's Curse, I actually realized that I really care about Nico as a character, and that's really important to me. I feel like he's grown on me a lot. I felt like the quest in this one was really interesting, and even though Annabeth isn't in this and she's one of my favorite characters in the entire series, I still feel like it works really well and there's enough going on that it kind of makes up for her not being in it as much. I feel like this book really brings everything together in a way that the first 2 books kind of don't. Like, this is the first book where things are really starting to get serious and we're thinking a lot more about Percy as the child of the prophecy, and we also obviously have the other children who could potentially be the heroes in the prophecy, like Thalia, Nico, and Bianca. I thought it was a really, really strong book, and it made me emotional in ways that I really wasn't expecting, and I just have a lot of love for it in my heart. So then we have to talk about the Battle of the Labyrinth. It bumped down to my second favorite, and what I have to say about Battle of the Labyrinth is I still think it's a really strong book, but I didn't love as many of the elements as I remembered loving. I think there's a lot going on in all of these books, and so it's kind of just like deciding which moments really work for me and which don't. And while I still find the Battle of the Labyrinth really exciting, and I feel like there's a lot of adventure and like excitement there, it just didn't have as many moments with the characters that I loved. What I will say is that in this book, I really love getting to see Rachel Elizabeth Dare a lot more. I feel like she's a really fun character, and so that's cool. This is also the book where Percy and Annabeth have their first kiss, so like I have to give it kudos for that. This is definitely where the characters start to seem a lot more mature, and you can definitely feel that difference. The problem is I'm not gonna have anything negative really to say about any of these books, so it's like a very thin ranking based on very little other than like how I felt while I was reading the book, which is really hard to quantify. But I would say that yes, there are a lot of emotional moments in Battle of the Labyrinth that really make me feel things, but The Titan's Curse was overall a stronger book emotionally to me, and that's why I gave it the first place spot. The Battle of the Labyrinth always has a place in my heart, obviously. Okay, so next up, I thought this was gonna be my third, and this was gonna be my fourth, and instead, this is my third, and this is my fourth. I would say the third and fourth books in this series have a lot more going on than these 2. These feel more focused on one thing. So The Last Olympian, for me, I wasn't super excited about the whole focus on this last battle at the beginning, but as we got more into the story, it really grew on me, and I felt like it was kind of the perfect setting for everything in the series to come together and kind of the rest of the plot to unfold. I think it worked really beautifully. There were so many strong emotional moments in this book, and the deaths of the characters really hit me hard, and then the characters trying to succeed desperately also really hit me hard. I love seeing pretty much everyone we've met in this world come together and work together. It was just full of so many beautiful small moments, and Obviously, like I said, I really ship Percy and Annabeth, so getting to see moments between them as they're working through their feelings and trying to help each other was just really tender. The moment when Percy has dipped himself in the river Styx and he shows Annabeth the spot that's his vulnerable spot, that was just such a tender, precious moment, and I love it so much. Ultimately, The Last Olympian ended up being a really strong book, and even though it's third place on my list, that doesn't mean that it's mediocre. Anyway, let's talk about The Lightning Thief. So, The Lightning Thief is now fourth place on my list, which feels bad because it's the first book that started this amazing series, and so it holds a lot of nostalgia for me, and that's why, honestly, it's not last on this list. I think The Lightning Thief is really, really strong. I think it's a great first book. I think it does a lot of really good things, but because we don't know the characters as well and we don't know the world as well, a lot of time is spent on setup, whereas the rest of the books kind of weave that in more naturally. So it's a lot of exposition and not as much action, and there's still a lot of fun that happens. I just feel like it was kind of bogged down a little bit in comparison to the later books where more things can be happening at once. And also, I think these books kind of mature with their audience, so this one does read the youngest. But yeah, ultimately, I just think I had more fun reading some of the other books once I was more attached to the characters. I guess what we've probably all been waiting for is The Sea of Monsters, which I predicted would be my least favorite, and I would still say it's my least favorite, but I think that might because I just went into it thinking that it was gonna be my least favorite. This book actually really surprised me. I was really engaged the entire time in a way that I don't remember being when I read it as a child, and so that was really lovely. And I think this book does a lot of really great things. It's a fun adventure story, but it does feel very singularly focused. Not that that's a bad thing in books, but I think that's just kind of how I have decided to qualify this series. This book is really just like, we are going to the Sea of Monsters, and that is what's happening, and we will get the fleece. And I feel like the other books have so much more going on in terms of things that we need to discover and prophecies that we don't understand, and this just felt a little more one note. As a whole, it definitely fits into the entire series, and I have no problems with it. But I had to put one book last, and so because it was my least favorite as a kid, I think that's kind of what I have to stick with. This video has been really fun for me to film. I love this series with my whole heart. It's something that I have always been passionate about, and I'm really glad that I've been able to still find that same passion returning to these books. It's also a bit of a weird video for me to be filming and uploading as my first ever booktube video, because honestly, as a reader, I'm usually a lot less positive about the things that I read. I'm a very critical person, and so I feel like things that I read now often don't tend to be 5-star reads for me. So it was really, really nice for me to get back to this positive side and just find something that I'm truly nostalgic and happy about. These books have been such a light, and honestly, I really hope I make a lot more positive videos in the future. I will be filming a quarterly wrap-up for April, May, and June, and that'll be going up soon, and that will definitely be a mixed bag of favorites and least favorites, so you can expect more criticism from that video, but also some positivity, because I'm not really about bashing books. I want to make that really clear. I am a critical reader, but I'm not about saying that a book is trash just because it didn't personally work for me. And so some of the books you'll see in that next video are books that I didn't personally love, but I know a lot of other people liked, and so I'm happy to have discussions about them. This just happens to be a series that holds a really special place in my heart and is always going to be full of nostalgia for me, so I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. I do think it's pretty hard for me to critique something that I loved so strongly as a child. It's really hard for me to find faults and talk about them, but I am a more objective reader now. Anyway, that's basically all my thoughts on the Percy Jackson series. It's a 5-star series for me. I really loved reading it. I have a lot more plans for July, lots of videos that I want to film, lots of books that I want to read, so you guys are welcome to stick around if you're interested in that. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Oh, I'm so sweaty.